Look, if you're watching this, you're a high level guy. You have done the work. You have most likely read all the books. You have been to the seminars and you understand your patterns. You have done the work on yourself. So you probably know exactly what you should do. But there's a part of you deep down that knows that just knowing what to do, but actually taking action and achieving results, they're two separate things sometimes, aren't they? And despite all the stuff that you've done, despite all the knowledge that you have, there still seems to be this pull, isn't there? Where it's this voice or it's this invisible resistance that no matter what you do, you just can't seem to break through that upper limit. You just can't seem to break through that final bit of resistance and just make it happen. And the most frustrating thing about it, if you're anything like me, is you watch guys with less talent than you move faster. You see men with less awareness getting the results that you want to, in career, in relationship, with women, with their own potential, with finances, all of it. And if you're like so many men out there, myself included for so many years, your first instinct is usually to work harder. And you double down on doing what? Learning, improving yourself. You try to get more coaching, most likely. You try to get more accountability. Maybe you read another book. I know I did about why you're not taking action. Ask me how I know. My girlfriend used to call me Mr. Declaration because every single day, every week, it's like today's the day that I'm going to make the difference. Today I'm going to make the changes. But it's like New Year's resolutions. You set that resolution and they stay for like a week or two, but then the motivation dies down, doesn't it? And that's the problem right there with so many men is you know your potential. And I think that's the most frustrating thing. I had a client named Trevor, and he came to me one day. He goes, Jared, one of the most frustrating things is on the outside, people say that, hey, you're crushing it. You're doing like you must have like a 10 out of 10 life. And to him, he's like, man, internally, I feel so conflicted because inside, I only feel like I'm at a 6 or a 7. I know what I'm capable of. I'm not nearly approaching that because he's holding himself back in some way. And so in this video, the purpose of this entire video here is I want to show you exactly why that happens. And more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how to get completely free of all of your mindset blocks, all of your internal conflicts holding you back, and how you can step into that authentic masculine leadership and get the results that you want in your life and be fully aligned to your purpose in the next 90 days. So that way you can stop having potential and start living it in real life. We want to get you to stop thinking about potential and having it be who you are every single day. And before we begin, I just want to point out because I think it's important. This is not the typical, hey, fix your mindset stuff that you hear all the time. I think it's really important that personal development is so widespread these days. But a lot of that stuff is just noise. I want to share with you today how to actually operate at 100% from who you really are without fighting yourself anymore, without having to constantly reframe yourself, without trying to go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, to the point where you know who you are and your life just reflects that because it's how you're showing up every single day. Not just internally, like because you know who you are internally, but it shows up externally as well. So if you're a successful man, or if you're a sincere man, or if you're a man who's done the personal development work, but you still feel stuck, you still feel like you're second guessing, you still feel like there's a gap between who you are now, but who you know you're capable of really becoming, then sincerely pay attention because what I'm going to share with you could be the breakthrough that you're looking for. Like I said before we begin, everything I'm saying, this is not coming from theory. This is not coming from a book. This comes from real world lived experience. Like I had to find this out for myself the hard way. And this is the exact strategy that worked for me when nothing else did, by the way. When I was hitting my own internal roadblocks and self-sabotage back in 2018, 2019. And since then, it's worked for hundreds of men just like you. So, for example, I have one of my clients, a gentleman named Matt. Matt had 15 years worth of therapy or high-level business coaching and consulting. He knew all the tactics, you name it. Like he really understood what was going on in life and business. He had all the therapy words. He had incredible self-awareness, and he could explain why he did what he did. He could tell you where everything came from, but nothing changed. It was the same procrastination, the same self-sabotage, the same avoidance, the same highs and lows, feeling great one day and then all of a sudden crashing the next. And he felt out of control. It was that same feeling of being stuck. And he told me, he goes, Jared, I know all this stuff. Why can't I break through? When we find the root of where these challenges come from, not just the surface level, not the symptom, but the root of it. It's like there's that old phrase, it's like what you don't know that you don't know can really hurt you. He didn't know that he didn't even know this. This was outside of his awareness. And once we found the root cause of this, within one week, he's like, dude, all those years of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal development and coaching and all that stuff, I could have solved it this easily. I could have solved it this fast. It's like I knew why I was stuck before, but now I'm operating better as my default because it's one of those things. It's like if you walk around with a thorn in your foot, you can keep the thorn in your foot and just try to walk around it. But if you pull the thorn out, you no longer have to keep managing it anymore. And that's what was really holding him back. But this is what was really telling. I asked him, I said, hey, Matt, how are you feeling? It's been a couple of weeks and a couple months went by and I wanted to check in. He goes, dude, it's amazing. He's like, in the past, I'd be super manic after like coaching or something, after an event or something, but you know how you have that high and then it goes away. He goes, but I'm not low or self-sabotaging either. He goes, I'm not too high, I'm not too low. It's like there's this authentic, quiet, grounded confidence. It's like I'm sure of myself, I'm comfortable in my own skin for the first time. And the self-sabotage stopped. And I think that's the real measure of success because it's not about him trying to force himself to be better. That's his new baseline. And that's what happens when you remove the block. And so what you're about to learn in this video is I'm going to show you exactly what the real reason is that why, despite being a super high level guy in your own right, that's done the work on yourself, you're still stuck at about 60 to 70% of your full potential, and why all the mindset work in the world and all the training in the world won't get you to 100% if you're missing these other pieces. We're going to share with you the complete path to clearing all of your unconscious blocks at the root, embodying what I call your it factor, and then aligning your entire life so that way you're basically operating at your best on autopilot. And why most men doing all the mindset work stay stuck for decades sometimes. And I'm going to share with you number 3, the exact system that I used in 2019 to go from knowing what I should do to stepping in and being the man that I really was capable of being, and what hundreds of my clients use to this day to transform their entire lives in just 90 days. And so if you're meeting me for the first time, great to meet you. My name is Jared. I am the lead trainer for Self-Mastery for Men, and I help high-level men go from knowing what they should do, knowing their potential, to actually living their potential without years of therapy, without managing themselves all day long, or without staying stuck in their head and self-sabotaging anymore. And for the past few years, I've also been a trainer and a presenter for some of the most influential names in personal development. I've had the privilege of seeing on the inside and presenting on stages with some of these people and helping hundreds and thousands of people to transform in their own right and sharing what transformation really is. And before that, though, before I was in personal development, I never wanted to be in personal development. I never knew it existed. I wanted to be a professional wrestler for WWE. So yeah, jumping off the top rope and smashing people with steel chairs and the whole thing. I know, completely strange life path. But the reason why, though, was because I wanted to help people. I did not know that personal development existed. When I was a kid, I read an autobiography, and there was a rags to riches story about this pro wrestler who nobody thought he would make it, but he did. And he turned his life around. And I was like, man, that's what I want to be. But I thought you had to be a wrestler and then retire and then write a book. I didn't know that you could do this. This universe didn't exist. And the reason why I understand this is because after my pro wrestling career was over, I decided it was time to pivot. So, like so many men, we want to be entrepreneurs, business owners, live your purpose. I created a multiple 6-figure video production company, which was my hobby, but it was my dream. Like I loved it. And I was married to my college sweetheart, and I was really into personal development. I was going to all these different events because I wanted to start a business and become my best self and all that stuff. So I was on a really good path until 2019 hit. And everything that I thought was solid about myself, everything I thought I knew about myself and my identity wasn't. My marriage crumbled because my partner was battling addiction issues that ran in the family. My biggest client in video production went out of business and they stopped paying me, and I ended up in massive debt because I was still on the hook to pay all the vendors and all the staff and everything. And I was stress eating like crazy because I'm going through 2 of these things, my wife's addiction and I'm losing the business. And I end up massively overweight because I wasn't into drugs. I was into eating. Stress eating was my comfort. I ended up 80 pounds overweight. And everything around me is falling apart. I'm trying to stay above water. I end up getting divorced. I end up living on my own. But then when 2020 hit, now I have to completely reinvent myself again. So I don't have the marriage. I don't have the business. I don't even have the opportunity to do the business. My health is completely destroyed. And I was still going to these personal development events trying to fix my life. And I somehow ended up in a new relationship with a woman who She loved me for me because it wasn't my looks. I did not have any at the time. It was not my finances because I did not have any more at the time. And you could say my personality was debatable. And about 6 months into it, though, I could tell about 6 months into it, she was fed up with me too. And that really stung because here I am. I had changed everything in my life, burnt the boats, did the hard thing, changed everything, got out of the relationship, switched businesses, and I'm still hitting the same wall no matter what I tried. And I'm about to lose this new relationship that I'm in. And at that point, I would have lost everything. I remember it's 3 a.m. I'm sitting up alone at 3 a.m. In my spare bedroom because despite knowing what to do and despite being a really sincere guy and doing the work on myself, nothing in my life was working. And that's when it hit me. You see, what I realized was I had all the understanding in the world, but understanding is not the same as embodiment. And I realized three things that night. Number one, I realized I needed to clear my mindset and my inner conflicts at the root. Because the reason why anybody isn't living their potential is because what I found for myself was I didn't believe I was the man who could. And that all came from all of these unconscious decisions that I made because of my past conditioning. And I started asking myself these questions. How much of yourself did you not even choose? How much of this got into you by autopilot, by osmosis from your parents, from your teachers, from your friends, life events that happened to you, and then you've been living that for a lifetime. You've been telling yourself a story. And the crazy part was I could see it. I had the awareness of it. I could see it plain as day. I had done all the therapy. I understood all my patterns, but understanding didn't change a damn thing because awareness is just the first layer. It is not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is your unconscious nervous system has made these decisions when you were a kid. The moment that you decided this is how the world works, essentially, this is who I need to be to survive. And that decision, or there could be dozens of decisions, hundreds of decisions that you made, they've been running your entire adult life on autopilot without you even realizing it. So I became obsessed. You should have seen me back then. I was like, you have got to master your mindset right now and clear out everything that's not authentically you and not just understand it, but clear it at the root. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to spend the rest of your life fighting yourself. And so that's when I committed to do it. And so number two, what I realized was that was the first thing. I needed to not only do that, but I need to install who I actually was meant to be at my core. I knew I had potential. I knew what I was capable of, but I wasn't living it. And here's the thing, you already know what to do. But the reason why you don't do it is because there's a block. And so I realized even if I fix all of that past conditioning, I would still be operating from the same old identity, the same old patterns, the same internal conflicts. Because the truth is, I didn't really know how to fully show up powerfully in my life in a way that was authentic. But here's the thing, if I cleared the blocks, like, okay, now I'm not afraid of doing that anymore, but I still don't know how to. And I still wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. And this was affecting my relationship. This is one of the reasons why my relationship was tanking. The polarity was gone. Masculine, feminine energy. We became so aware of our problems, we became completely neutral. There was no attraction, no passion. She wasn't looking at me like a desirable quality man. She was looking at me like a really good roommate who understood her feelings. And all that personal development work that I had done, it had made me more aware. It had made me more emotionally intelligent, but it killed my masculine edge. And I'm not talking about the toxic alpha bulldozer stuff because that's not authentic. But I didn't know how to be a grounded, powerful, confident, centered man either, though. I knew it had to be somewhere in the middle, right? I could feel that gap between who I knew I was capable of being and how I was actually showing up in a relationship. And here's what terrified me. I go, if I don't solve this, what's the odds that you would take this into every other relationship that you're in every other career that you're in? I would keep recreating the same patterns over and over and over again, the same dynamic. So this was not just about the job or the relationship or the woman I was with. It was the overlying pattern that would follow me wherever I went. And I realized I had been so focused on clearing what was wrong with me that I never installed what was right. And I needed to build my identity from the ground up. I needed to install who I was really meant to be at the unconscious level, shift to being decisive, taking action, making clear boundaries, having a grounded presence, stepping into that authentic masculine authority, not in a way that you're putting it on as a performance, but it's just who you are. And here's what I discovered. When you embody your authentic masculine natural power in a healthy way, everything shifts. You make decisions from certainty. You can lead, which is what this is all about, is you being a leader. With people, they will feel your presence. They will follow you naturally, and you're not going to have to really push your weight around. It's going to just happen automatically because people are going to respect you. In relationships, the polarity and the attraction between two people, it comes back. Because when you remove all the blocks that are holding you back in the first place, and then you condition and install that authentic presence that is the real you at the unconscious level, it really does become automatic. When people say, hey, Jared, there's this version of me that I know is the real me, but I don't know how to let him out, what they're really saying is there's a real version of me that's the real me before I got conditioned to play small. So you being your most authentic self is not about putting a mask on. It's about actually taking the mask off. Number one, I had to clear all of the stuff from the root, not just the surface. And number two, I had to embrace my authentic power naturally and be my best self in the now. And then number three, I had to align my entire life because I knew I had all this potential inside me, but that was the problem. I had this potential for years and I wasn't fully living it. And then I asked myself, aren't you tired of being the guy with potential in your own head, but never actually living it? I'd have these moments of insight, these moments of clarity. I'd get so excited and I would know exactly what to do about making the vision happen. But once I was, once you're in a real situation, a real conflict, right back to autopilot into the old dynamic. So I was the guy who knew what to do, but was not implementing it when it mattered. This is the trap that so many men fall into. They understand themselves better, but life doesn't change. Their results don't change long term. Nothing in the external world reflects the internal shifts. So I got obsessed with this question. How do I take this future vision of you, install that right now, and then make it real? Not just in your head, but in your actual life. And this is what I figured out. Who you are today, right now, the version of you that who you are today is the sum total of all of your conditioning from the past that builds up and it affects how you show up and who you believe you are in the now. But all that stuff from the past is affecting you now, and then you're projecting that out into the future, and then it determines what you create or assume about your future. That was allowing my past conditioning to affect how I was showing up now, which was then holding me back from the future potential. Most people, what they do is they try to fix the past and then hope the future changes. Or what they try to do is they try to like put themselves in the future, like, hey, it's going to be better tomorrow, but then it never comes. Or the other thing they do is like they're really, really stuck in the present, but they try to overcome that by pure force of will. I go, there's got to be a better way. What if instead of doing all that, what if I first create the vision for myself in the future that I know that I'm capable of? And then what if I bring that version all the way back to now? Like, who do I have to become to live that every single day? And then number three, what if, because just like a GPS, when you set the destination, it creates the route, but also the obstacles pop up. What if I then systematically clear every single obstacle that pops up that's blocking me from becoming that guy? I like to think of it like a bow and arrow. So when you have a bow and arrow, think of it this way. You got the staff, you got the arrow, you got that string. You put your future out there, but then you bring it back to who you are now. Not just leave that in the future. You bring that future version of you right back. But then what do you have to do? You let the arrow go. But when you let go, what happens? The arrow soars to its destination and hits its target because it's no longer held back by that tension from the past. And so that's what we do in your life. We figure out, number one, who's the real version of you that you know you're capable of being. Number two, who do you have to become to be that guy? Bring it back to now. And then when you see all the blocks that pop up, we then cut the cord or we let go of all the baggage, we let go of the arrow, and then you rocket to your target without any resistance anymore because now there's nothing holding you back. And when I did that for myself, when I cleared all the conditioning from my past, I aligned it to the future and I stepped into that future vision, it was like, it was basically like magic. I was no longer sabotaging myself from who I knew that I really was capable of being. And all of a sudden, it's like that tension went away. And in a very, very short amount of time, I completely lost all the weight. I completely got out of debt. I transformed my relationships. I became confident, certain, and grounded inside myself for the first time ever. I really embraced my authentic power and who I really was. And I think the most mind-blowing thing about it, and I've done this now with hundreds of people, and I get very, very similar results across all people, is it's not just temporary. Because it's like when you pull out the thorn from yourself, what happens is your body knows how to heal itself. And so when we remove the block, everything starts to align automatically. I started making more progress in the next couple of months, the next 90 days than I did in probably the past 10 years. And because of that, this is the exact system that I reverse engineered and I use with every single one of my clients because this is not theory. This is the exact path that transformed my life. Here's what I know about you. If you're here, I have got a ton of respect for you because even the fact that you're watching this and you're spending time on this right now tells me something really cool about you is there's so much quick dopamine online these days. There's Reels and there's TikTok, and you're actually watching this thing. So I could tell you're sincere and you're here for a reason. And I know that you've most likely done the work, if especially if you're watching a video like this, you've probably done more work on yourself than most people around. And you understand your patterns. You know, you're self-aware. But here's the part that nobody really says or tells you out loud, that the awareness is making it worse. Remember that guy I told you about earlier, Matt? One of the things that he said that really stuck with me is he goes, Jared, it used to be that I was unconsciously stuck. Now I'm consciously stuck. And that almost makes it worse because I can see all of my problems. I'm painfully aware of them, but I keep defaulting back. And that's the challenge that most high performing men that I talk to experience because they know exactly what to do. You can even do it sometimes, but it's not your autopilot yet. And to a lot of people, it's like that's like slow torture because you know what to do and you're not doing it and you're still sabotaging. And that's torture. And you start strong, but then you pull yourself back. You make progress, you sabotage, you know what to do, you just don't consistently do it. And if you're really honest with yourself, your relationships might have lost their edge. You're great friends, you're great roommates, but there's no passion, there's no polarity, there's no spark. You understand your purpose intellectually, but you're not living it every single day. It doesn't set you on fire. You're operating at like a 6 or a 7 when you know 10 is available to you, and you're stuck between who you know you are now and who you know you're capable of becoming. And most men in your position, and I was guilty of this too. They tend to keep doing the mindset work, hoping that this will finally be the breakthrough, or they push harder with discipline, which creates just more internal friction over time, or they settle for good enough, even though they're dying on the inside. They feel like they're settling. Here's what they don't do. They never really stop to ask, what if I'm solving this problem at the wrong level? Because you're trying to fix your psychology when the real issue is your unconscious and it's your nervous system. And you can work on your mindset for 20 years and never really move the needle. You're here because you know there's got to be an easier way, and you're right. I needed to figure this out for myself, and I'm here to bring it to you. So here's the truth that most people miss about getting free from their internal conflicts and really stepping to your authentic power. You're stuck because you're only doing the first step of a multi-part system. And it doesn't matter how much mindset work you do. If you're missing the other pieces, you're going to still stay stuck. And the truth is, it's like one of my clients' name is Joe. When he came to me, he goes, it's like I have a parking brake on. And it's like I'm pushing the gas and I got the brake down simultaneously, but this parking brake is making me spin out. That's what most people are like. But most people don't even know the parking brake is engaged. And so you're thinking, I must not be pressing the gas hard enough. So you push it hard, it doesn't work. You buy a course on how do I press my gas pedal harder. You get an accountability coach to watch you push the gas pedal. You wake up at 5 a.m. and you do a cold bath to then push the gas pedal harder, and the car's still not moving. But here's what's actually happening underneath that. That parking brake was installed before you're aware of it, most likely before you were 5 years old, usually 0 to 7. Beliefs are decisions. Beliefs are decisions. But what I'd add to that is your belief is a decision that you made unconsciously. And it's usually between the ages of 0 and 7. And you don't even know that it's there. Your nervous system made a decision. That's the way to handle it. And it became a lifetime of autopilot. It's like being powerful is dangerous, or stay small, or play safe, or money's hard to make, or something. But it's even deeper. It's at the identity level. And it might not just be one, it's multiple. It could be dozens. And it's these many decisions that are still running your life today on autopilot 24/7 without your permission. You see, a lot of successful men believe if I just fix my mindset, understand all my patterns better, everything else is going to change. So they do more therapy, they do more coaching, more seminars, more books. You've already proven that it doesn't work on its own. Like I discovered in 2019, I had basically been trying to drive my life forward with this parking brake still engaged and my tires are smoking. without knowing where I was even going and without even fully being in control of the car. So here's what I found working with hundreds of men, high performing guys across all areas of your life. There are three key areas that you must align in order to get the results that you want in your life. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck in your own patterns of self-sabotage. You're going to be two steps forward, one step back, and then not fully live your own potential. And people very rarely have all three of these things together. That's why they're stuck. They're living in what I call three different time zones. They're either stuck in the past, where they're clearing blocks endlessly, or they're obsessed about the future and they have this idea, but they stay there and it becomes almost like a delusion. Or people say, there's a version of me on the inside that I know is the real me if I could just get there. But you know what's interesting? There's, according to a study from UCLA and Stanford, when you think about, they did this study where if they did it with a brain scan, when people think about their future ideal self, your brain lights up in the same way that it thinks about when you think about a stranger. It doesn't identify with that future version of you. And so your brain literally treats your future ideal self like a celebrity that you never met. You're dissociated from it. Your brain doesn't identify that version of you as you. That's the problem. That's why visualization alone doesn't always work. That's why it never materializes, because they're trying to force themselves through it in the present. They're managing their state all day. They're like white knuckling through discipline, but they're not addressing the root of the problem. And what most men do is they do the first step of this partially, because a lot of people know about, like, oh, I should probably fix my beliefs and change my mindset. Sounds great, but they wonder why they're still stuck. I'm telling you this from personal experience. It is not because mindset doesn't work. It's because that alone isn't enough. It's just the start of this thing. Because here's what a lot of people don't realize. You can clear every single block, but if you don't then embody who you're meant to be and align your entire life to that, you're just going to be living on autopilot and you're going to default back to your old patterns. So you need three pieces, not just one. You need to, number one, clear your past. Number two, know exactly where you want to go in the future, at least know the direction. And number three, align all of that to who you are in the present and live that way every single day. And here's the truth. You cannot lead others. You can't lead the world. You can't lead in a relationship. None of it until you can lead yourself first. Carl Jung, famous philosopher, he goes, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you're going to call it fate. I'll say it again. Carl Jung, he goes, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. But what I would say to it, and I agree, once you make the unconscious conscious, you still have to embody it and you have to align the rest of your life to it. And when you understand that you need all three of these pieces, clear the past, align the future, step into that, into the moment, in the present as your identity, not just the mindset work, then you can apply this three-step self-mastery system that I'm going to share with you here today. And when you do that, you can finally step into that full power, that full version of you, not in another 10 years, but in the next 90 days. Imagine for a moment what that would feel like when you had full self-trust in yourself instead of second guessing. When you had that calm, not performative, but like real, authentic inner authority instead of internal friction and self-sabotage. Where you had passion in your relationship instead of just being good roommates, and you started to get results across your entire life, not just in theory in your head, but in real life. You get results. Just like Aaron. I had a client named Aaron. He was a super successful entrepreneur overseas, an international businessman. Everything else in his life looked awesome. He was engaged to the love of his life. But the reason why he called me was because his fiance was about to call off the wedding. But here's the thing, like, he wasn't a bad guy. Like, he wasn't doing anything weird. He was not being his full self. He was people pleasing and he was hiding who he really was. And his fiance could tell. He's like, you're not being really authentic. But it was because he didn't want to step on toes. Like, he was afraid to show who he really was. When we came together, we found out what the root cause of that was. Same thing, conditioning from the past, didn't really fully embody it in the present. Once we cleared that, 2 weeks later, his fiance was like, what happened? What changed in you? It's like this is everything changed for him. And 3 months later, the wedding was back on. They got married. I get Christmas cards from them every single year since, and it's really been wonderful to see. And this is just the truth of what this can do. When you clear all of these blocks that are in your way, the authentic you just comes out naturally. And it's not because you learn a new strategy. It's because you're clearing all the stuff that's inauthentic. And he aligned across all three of those levels of life, saw his future vision, aligned it to his present, stepped into it. We cleared the past that's blocking him. And if you don't understand that you need these three pieces in a row, clear your mindset, your internal roadblocks, claim your power in the present, align your life to it, and you don't do those three things, you could be very sincere and you could stay stuck for at 60 to 70% of your full capacity forever. But I'm not going to let that happen to you, right? Like one of the things that I said at 3 a.m. was like, if I figure this out, God, universe, source, whatever is out there, if I figure this out, I will dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people never go through what I went through. But in order to help you understand why this is happening, you got to understand the real reason why you're struggling in the first place. And it is not a lack of discipline. The real problem is you can do more mindset work, you can read more books, you can attend more seminars all day, you can go to therapy. If you don't understand and apply what I'm about to share with you, you're going to still stay stuck trying to step into your full potential while you watch other men get results while you're still thinking about doing it. Here's why. When you only work on clearing your mind, you may gain a great awareness of what's happening, but the blocks still stay at the root. So the transformation stays either in your head or surface level and never becomes real, and it doesn't last long term. It's like, let's say you're trying to get to your destination in a car, but you get a nail in all four tires. You can study the nails, right? You can understand the nails. You can find out where nails came from originally, how they're invented. You can develop an incredible coping strategy for driving with flat tires. You can spend another 15 years in therapy analyzing exactly how the nails got in your tire and who put them there first, right? You can even join a support group for other people with nails in their tires. The nails do not care about your self-awareness, right? It's not until you actually pull the nails out that you're going to be able to go anywhere. But then once all the nails are out, you still have four flat tires, don't you? You need to replace the tires. You got to install a new default operating system, a new default state. But then you got new tires, you got the nails out of the tire, you got the new ones on, but then you don't set the GPS. Or even worse, you have an outdated GPS based on where you were, and it's not based on where you're going. And with a GPS, the destination controls the route along the way, doesn't it? What we need to do is we need to pull all the nails out. We got to replace the tires. We got to set the GPS for where you want to go. Past, present, future. You see, even the most successful men in the world at times think the problem is that they're not disciplined enough or they need more mindset work. The truth is you've only done like one of these pieces partially. You haven't cleared all the stuff at the root. You haven't embodied who you're really meant to be, and you haven't aligned your entire life to it top to bottom. You cannot outthink your way out of an unconscious problem. I spent years in traditional therapy and doing personal development. I gained an incredible amount of self-awareness. I understood my patterns. I could explain to you exactly why I did what I did and where it came from, but nothing changed. I had the same patterns. I had the same stuck feelings. And it was like I was on Groundhog's Day every single day. I would have these profound insights with a session or at an event, and I would leave like being like, this time it's different. I've really cracked the code. And then 48 hours later, a couple of weeks later, I'm right back into the same pattern. Because awareness alone doesn't remove the blocks. It doesn't install the identity. It doesn't align the rest of your life. I was like the guy studying the nails. I was analyzing the nails, managing the nails, right? But I never pulled the nails out to make my life work for me. Except now it hurts worse because I know why I'm doing it while I'm doing it in the moment. That's what I told you about before. It's like you're a conscious prisoner. And that's the trap of self-awareness without releasing the root cause of the problem. Knowledge in your head does not mean you're going to get the results in your life. And so once I understood this, I went from stuck and really just frustrated and self-sabotaging inside all the time to stepping into my full power, my full potential, getting results that I wanted to get in just a few months rather than decades, all in a matter of about 90 days. And once I understood this, I finally understood why nothing I was doing in the past was working. And it ultimately led me to reverse engineering this and creating the 3-step self-mastery system that I'm going to share with you here today. Because knowing that you need all three of these pieces and that partial transformation doesn't really work is awesome. But knowing better is just only half the battle. The other half is actually doing it. Actually pulling the nails out of your tires, replacing the tires, setting your GPS to the destination. Because the truth is, if you don't have a proven system that does this systematically, clears all the stuff from the past, embodies who you are, who you're meant to be in the present, and aligns your future to yourself, you're going to stay stuck. And so that's exactly why I developed the self-mastery system. It is a private guided transformation. We're going to work together, and it helps successful men who've already done the work on themselves, but they're just hitting that upper limit. It's going to help you step into your full power without years of therapy, without years of banging your head against the wall, without years of coaching and accountability. It's going to pull out that thorn at the root. It's going to be able to clear all of the unconscious blocks at the root, replacing those flat tires, pulling out the nail, and getting that GPS installed so that way you're pulled towards where you want to go and no longer reacting based on your past conditioning. And as a result, instead of more mindset work and second guessing yourself, you're going to get unshakable inner authority. You're going to be able to embody what I call your it factor, that authentic masculine presence where you just show up powerfully automatically as a leader, as a grounded leader, without thinking about it, without being a fake tough guy, but just being your real authentic self. And you're going to stop living from the script, meaning you're not going to be living from the conditioning from your past anymore, all the shoulds, all the expectations. Those autopilot patterns aren't even yours in the first place. We're going to start living from that authentic identity that you design. And the best part is it doesn't fade because it becomes your new autopilot. This is not something you have to manage. This is not something you have to remember to do or take notes on. What we're going to do gets so deep in you that it becomes a part of who you are at the root level. With the self-mastery system, you can stop fighting yourself and finally feel like your full self. I put it this way. Most men, in terms of cause and effect, they're living at the effect of their life, or the effect of circumstance. The self-mastery system, when we do this process together, takes you from the effect and puts you right at the root cause of your life. You're going to be the one that's in command. And I want to personally guide you through it. This is one-on-one, and then we also have some different components. This is the exact same system that I used myself to go from stuck and just sabotaging and knowing what to do, but not doing it, to stepping into my full power in just about 90 days. And this is the same thing that I use with every single one of my clients since then to help them get results as well. So here's how it works. Phase number one is the 3-day VIP identity reset, where we're going to completely clear all of the stuff from the past at the root level and eradicate it so it never affects you again. Phase number two is we're going to embody your it factor, something that I call your it factor. We're going to help you master who you are in the present and really step into your best self. And number three is we're going to do a phase called identity by design. We're going to align your future and then condition that to your real self and then give you an action plan to take your ideas and make them real in reality. So phase one of this 3-day system, or this 3-part system, is the 3-day VIP identity reset. This is one of my favorite parts because this is going to be the most impactful thing you do. All of it's impactful. This thing is killer. And what I found is you cannot out-discipline an unconscious program in your mind. It's almost like when you set that thermostat. I'm sure you've all heard the thermostat metaphor. It's like if you set it at 74 degrees and you get to 80, it brings you down to 74. But if it's at 74, it goes down to 60, it brings you back to 74 anyway. It keeps you right there. Well, your unconscious mind is that limiter. And when you get rid of that limiter, right, that was installed unconsciously when you were young, the patterns just start to disappear. Not in decades, just a couple of days. And that's what phase one does. We release that parking brake in your unconscious mind that's been stopping you from living your best life so you can finally stop second guessing yourself and start trusting yourself and your decisions again, where you can start making progress again. And we do this by working together intensively for 3 days. Day number one, we map out your entire complete personal history, not as therapy, like not to live there, but we want to just see how all the different patterns came about so that way we see the lay of the land. And then the second part of day one is we show you your unconscious autopilot right there in the paper in black and white. And you've never seen it this way before. And remember I said Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, it controls your life. We're going to make the unconscious conscious. And then we use cutting edge mindset techniques to completely eradicate all of those internal conflicts that we found on day two. We're going to release any trapped emotions, clear those beliefs at the root level, and then we start the process of embodying who you're meant to be and then step into it. It's the same 3-day intensive that I used on myself personally to clear over 30 years of conditioning and programming in a single weekend. And this is the same exact root cause clearing process that all of my clients use every single time. And once that's done, that parking brake is going to be released. And you're going to be one step closer to really embodying your best self and having unshakable inner authority. You're going to be one step closer to embodying that real version of you that you know that is there inside. And that way you're not going to have to keep suppressing yourself all day. If you don't clear the blocks at the root, You're going to have these same patterns running your life forever. You're just going to be more aware of them, which makes them worse. But when you clear your unconscious mind at the root, everything starts to become easier. But just doing that step alone is amazing. It's going to get you tremendous amount of results, but it's not enough. If you want to step into your full power, you need to also embody what I call something called your it factor. Now, what is your it factor? Phase two is about embodying your it factor. It's to be the man that's a natural. It's to be the guy that walks into a room and people just feel your presence before he even speaks. He's not performing. He's not managing himself. He just is. And a lot of guys get this wrong. Like they think embodying your it factor means putting on that fake alpha mask or being loud or being aggressive or domineering. Or a lot of guys go in the opposite direction. They become people pleasers or nice guys or they walk on eggshells to try to earn approval. Both sides are missing it. Remember I told you about WWE that I used to wrestle for WWE. I want to be a professional wrestler. The head of talent development one time for WWE came into our local wrestling school because we were all trying to make it. And we were all great wrestlers. We were very, very passionate. We loved the wrestling business. We would do anything that they asked to make it. And we were like, well, if we just keep being the good guys and the reliable ones, then eventually WWE is going to come hiring everybody because like, oh, we can't believe how passionate you are. We were the ones that never caused problems. Well, this talent agent sat there and he watched us all day. He didn't say a word. And at the end, he looks at the entire room and he goes, hey, you're all great technical wrestlers, I guess, but I can't hire any one of you. And we were deflated. And he goes, because you're all missing one thing. And all the greats have it, and you guys just don't have it. And you should have been there. There was like a hush that went over the room. And it was like Moses in the Red Sea. It's like the seas parted. It's like half the room decided they're going to double down. They're going to try harder. They doubled down on the people pleasing. But the other half of the room, you know what they did? It's like what so many guys out there do. Like, you know what? Screw that guy. What does he know? He doesn't know anything. And they became a lot more like what you would call alpha or aggressive or demanding and dominant. And you know what? In their career, it kind of worked out for them for a little bit because they probably felt more powerful in the moment. It's better than feeling depressed that they got rejected. But eventually it didn't work because no one wanted to put up with their BS attitudes anymore. You know what I mean? And word got around about their reputation. But me and my three friends, because we were there, we wanted to find out what this was because we had to know. We're like, what's this one thing that we're all missing? And so we walked out to the parking lot that day and we found him. And we said, hey, what was it that you're going to say in there? And he told me something that I've taken with me ever since. And it applies not just to wrestling, it applies to men across all walks of life. He goes, the best wrestler with the most desire, with the most passion, doesn't always win. He goes, the one with the it factor wins. Chase Hughes, if you follow the different people on social media and all these great mentors, Chase Hughes, a behavioral expert, used to be in the CIA. He has a quote and he goes, something to the effect of, it's not the exact quote, but he goes, the best definition that I've ever heard about true confidence is its action without reservation. As a matter of fact, think for a moment of a time when you were the most confident with someone in your life. It was actually, it wasn't like bravado, right? It was a feeling of comfort. It was a feeling of you feeling safe in your own skin, comfortable in your own skin. So here's the truth. Having the it factor isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention like, you're pounding your chest all the time. It's simply a feeling of being comfortable in your own skin, not performing, not managing, not trying to be something that you're not. It's just being. And that's not philosophy. That's just neuroscience. They've done studies now where they show they can map consciousness. They said authenticity is the highest state your nervous system can access. And so when you're operating from your authentic self, not performing or managing, but just really being who you are at your best, that's your nervous system in its most powerful state. That's you being the best version of you. That's what we install in phase number 2 of this process. And here's why this is so much easier than you think. When we release the parking brake in phase 1, the blocks are already gone. The conditioning's cleared. Usually the challenge is you're trying to learn all this stuff with all the blocks. But now that the blocks are gone, we can go on to installing who you're meant to be underneath all of that, but you're not self-sabotaging anymore. Because clearing your mind is one thing, but embodying who you're actually meant to be, that's what makes the transformation real. Because now you're showing up as that guy day to day, moment to moment. And what a lot of men miss is you can remove every block, but if you don't really install this new identity at the unconscious level, you will default right back to what your conditioning was and what you've learned. Not because you're not trying your best, but because no one's ever modeled it for you before, or you don't have the right strategy. But most people do the strategy first. If you clear the stuff first and then you embody that, then it starts to last. That's what phase two does. So on phase two, we're going to install your authentic masculine identity as a leader. So you start showing up fully in your life with your full power. And it's not something you have to try to do. It becomes automatic. You don't have to manage it. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to remember to pump yourself up and do your affirmations that day. It just becomes who you are naturally because you're aligned. And we do this by aligning you across something that I've called the 7 levels of self-mastery. Level 1 is your purpose. Number 2 is your identity. Number 3 is your mindset, which is your beliefs and your values. Number 4 is that the state that you show up in, your dominant energy that you show up in. Level 5 is your resources, which is your skills, knowledge, and tools. Level 6 is actions, which is what you do daily. And then finally, level 7, your environment, meaning how does your environment reinforce the change long term? Who is surrounding you? What's your support system? And most men try to change, though, from the bottom up. They try to change their habits. They try to get a couple of new strategies, and that doesn't work because the top of the pyramid hasn't changed. We want to flip that on its head. If we know what your purpose is, your future vision, and then we align your identity with who that is, we clear the mindset blocks to getting in the way, and then we install the state of how that guy has to show up, everything else becomes so much easier. You don't self-sabotage anymore. Everything below it naturally lines up automatically. It all aligns. And when we rewire your nervous system, any stuck state that you might feel, procrastination, rumination, feeling trapped, feeling stuck, automatically shifts to motivation, command, power, feeling like you're in control of your life. And this is the same process that I use with myself to go from people pleaser that was 80 pounds overweight to stepping into my grounded masculine authority and leading myself and others. And it is the same exact system that all of my clients use. And once that's done, you're going to have what I call your it factor fully embodied. Clear internal standards that you're living from day to day. Your nervous system automatically access these powerful states instead of the old negative ones. And your authentic masculine leadership is your baseline. And here's what happens when you shift that as a result naturally. Your relationships transform. Your partner feels your presence. Polarity and attraction returns. People respond to you differently. They can feel your energy. They feel your certainty and they follow your lead a lot easier. Opportunities open up because you're no longer, ironically enough, when you no longer need validation, opportunities open themselves up because you're no longer holding yourself back anymore. And then once that's done, you're one step closer to stepping into your full power. You're not going to have to manage yourself anymore or force yourself or perform confidence anymore. When you embody your it factor, it's like life starts to line up. So you clear the past, you align yourself in the present, and that's going to get you 2/3 of the way home, but it's still not enough. If you want lasting transformation, the final piece of the puzzle is aligning your entire life to who you're becoming. And so phase number three is called identity by design. And here's the third thing. Clearing your blocks, embodying your it factor, that is essential. But if you don't design a future that you're proud of and then align your entire life with who you're becoming, the transformation won't stick. Remember what I said earlier about your brain treats your future self like a stranger. That's the problem. You'll have these peak experiences that fade over time. You'll go back to old routines, and the real world, when it distracts you, is going to pull you back into old patterns. It's because your brain doesn't recognize that future version of you as you yet. That's what phase three fixes. So phase three is where we set your destination and align it to the real you. And when you do this, we're going to have your brain recognize that as you at the unconscious level and then align everything else in your life to get there. This is the final piece, and I call it identity by design, where we design your future identity and align your entire life, your health, your finances, your relationship, your career, to who you're becoming and who you really are on the inside. So your results happen automatically, and the transformation becomes your new normal. Because while you're clearing your mind and embodying your power, that's super important. Designing who you're becoming and aligning your life to that vision is what makes it permanent. And we do this by creating a complete roadmap. We're going to build out a plan to help you get there and installing daily rituals and systems and conditioning tools that make this automatic. It is the same process that I use every single day to this day to maintain transformation and keep leveling up. And it's the same exact system that all my clients use. And once you do this, you're going to have your future clearly designed, your entire life structure supporting who you're becoming, your health, your finances, your relationship, your career, all of it lines up. So there's like a balance between all of it holistically. And you're going to get consistent results across all areas of your life without managing yourself anymore, which is going to allow you to finally step into your full power in the next 90 days. And remember that this is all without years of therapy, white knuckling through discipline, or doing more mindset work. And so I'm sure you're asking like, hey, well, why is this going to work now when I've done mindset stuff before and didn't work? Well, so in the past, what I found is most men, what they do is they go for the strategies and tactics first. You have the best tactics in the world, best strategy in the world, but you have that old conditioning. You can't really use it. I can't tell you how many people I've seen invest in $100,000 coaching programs for business and they get the best business strategy in the world, but they don't implement it and they don't make a dime because they have fear about putting themselves out there. If you get rid of the blocks first, though, now the strategies will finally work. So when you're internally aligned and you're embodying that authentic power of yours, that it factor, and then you design your future to align with your life and your higher version of you, now the strategies and tactics work because you're bringing the right version of you to the equation. There's no longer any internal friction. Action flows from alignment. And so the transformation, it is not a peak experience that you get really, really high with and then it fades away when you're not in the moment. This becomes your new default operating system. And in case you need some help along the way, right? Because everybody needs some help sometimes, this is not a course that you do alone. This is not just videos. It's not, you don't have to take like a bunch of notes with this and learn something intellectually. This is me working with you directly. So here's what this looks like. We start with a 3-day VIP identity reset, and we're going to go deep. We're going to map your complete personal history. We're going to clear your unconscious blocks together that have been running your life. And this happens first because once the parking brake is released, everything else accelerates 10 times faster. That alone is going to change your entire life. But then after that, we're going to work together for another 90 days through weekly group sessions and also through private one-on-one support to work on embodying your it factor fully, making that who you really are, and then design your future and then align that to the rest of your life. Plus, you're going to get a complete video program that goes with it in case you want to hear some content. It's going to walk you through the entire system, and then we give you some strategy to make the transformation permanent. And you'll get direct access to me to help you through your specific blocks and your breakthroughs, and you're going to be able to get all your questions answered, and you're never going to be left guessing. You're going to walk away a different man in just 90 days, and you will walk away as the man that you were always meant to be. But it's not going to be like a put on that you did. It's not going to be like a fake it till you make it mask. It's just like, man, I finally feel like the real version of me that's been there the whole time. And it's going to be able to last because it's not based on force or will or effort anymore. This is showing up as who you are from the root. And so now you know the number one truth about stepping into your power and your full version of you is that you need to have three pieces of this puzzle. You got to clear the past conditioning. You got to embody your it factor right here in the present, and you got to design your future self and step into him right now and then align the rest of it to that. Number two is the real reason why successful men stay stuck and why mindset work alone and therapy alone or discipline or tactics alone doesn't get you the transformation is because of what we just talked about. And we talked about how the three-phase self-mastery system is the exact system that me and my clients use to release the parking brake, embody your it factor, and align your entire life so you can finally operate at 100%. And if you've gotten this far, it tells me a couple of things about you. First of all, either number one, you're seriously ready to do whatever it takes to finally step into your full power in the next 90 days, or, and there's no shame in this, you're a personal development junkie and you love this stuff and you watch every training and you read every book. And look, I respect that. I was there myself. But here's the thing, sometimes it's disguised as progress, but it's really procrastination. And that's actually the real problem. That's part of the problem. Because consuming more information doesn't create transformation. And so my guess is if you're here and you're watching this, you are done consuming, like you're ready to actually transform. So let me ask you, if you could release all of your internal blocks, all of your internal conflicts, if you could release that parking brake and embody who you're really meant to be, embody your it factor and design your future, do you think that you could step into the best version of yourself and your full power? Do you think your relationships, your career, your health, your finances, your potential would be where it wanted to be? Of course it would be. And how good would that feel when it lasts long term, where you're no longer self-sabotaging anymore, where it's who you are automatically? And look, I get it because all of this sounds good. And I was where many of you are at some point. I was there in the past. But you're probably wondering, like, will this actually work for you? The good news is, regardless of where you are right now, I am 100% confident that this can help you. And I've worked with hundreds of men across all areas of your life. I've worked with multimillionaires. I've worked with single fathers, you name it. So if you're watching this, you know deep down that there's a version of you that you can step into and you can step into your full power, and you're frustrated with the mindset work alone and the tactics that sound good, but they don't work. And you just want to feel like a natural, embody your it factor and show up powerfully and be a leader in the world already. And you really want to feel that self-trust and that internal confidence and that authority and that passion in your relationships. And you're sick of seeing other men out there that are not truthfully half the men that you are in terms of who you are as a person get the results before you do, and you're ready to finally stop being the guy that has potential and get results and get your entire life aligned. Let me ask you, if you could solve all of that right here today, how much faster, simpler, more complete would life be? Take a second to imagine what would you be able to do if you're able to be fully present with your family, not distracted, not self-sabotaging, not managing yourself anymore, but just there with them, present. What would you be able to do in terms of like building a business if you built it from flow instead of like trying to force things, or decisions came from inner certainty, not from second guessing or hedging? What would happen if you could lead with quiet confidence, not trying to force anything, but where your partner looked at you with desire again, and people would follow your lead naturally because of who you are? They can just feel your energy. You see, most men out there, they only dream of stepping into their full power, but very few actually achieve it. And so now the question is, what is you stepping into the best version of you worth to you? What is embodying your it factor worth to you? What is the feeling of grounded, certain inner power worth to you? What is unshakable inner authority worth to you? And what is finally living out your full potential worth to you? If you got this far, you're obviously serious about stepping into your full potential, and you're obviously ready to make a change today. Otherwise, why would you be watching this thing right now with me here today? And so the obvious question is, how can we actually apply this to your life? Well, basically, you have a couple of different options. Number one is you can take what we've learned today and try to implement it all yourself with nobody to guide you, leaving you to figure out all the details yourself through trial and error and years maybe. And hopefully, eventually, maybe you're able to release all this stuff on your own. Or option two, just book a 15-minute intro call with me. We'll just chat about what's going on with you specifically, and we'll give you some clarity on that three-phase self-mastery system that clears unconscious blocks at the root and installs your identity and aligns your entire life. Now, unfortunately, most men out there, they will watch a video like this and they do nothing with the information. It's not because they're bad people. It's just because that's how it is. But one of my early mentors, actually, it was the wrestling mentor, was the head of WWE Talent Development. He goes, you know what, guys? If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. And if you want to keep getting the results that most men out there have, do what most men out there do, which is nothing. But now is the time to decide. Because here's the thing. There's always these two different versions of you that exist, but you can either choose to take action now and make it happen, or you can look back at your life 6 months from now or a year from now and realize you're still in the same spot you are now. And here's what I believe. The version of you that's operating at 100%, that's that real version of you, he already exists. He exists underneath all the blocks, underneath all the conditioning. The only thing between you and him is that path that we talked about. You got to really know where it is that you want to go, step into that, into the now, and then release all the conditioning holding you back from being that in the first place. And it only takes you 90 days. So the real issue isn't, hey, can this work for me? Can I transform? The worst hell imaginable was imagining waking up at the end of your life and realizing that you didn't live your full potential, but you realized it wasn't because of anything blocking you externally. I think the real worst part would be realizing that it was you that held yourself back. And so the real question isn't, can I transform? The real question is, are you ready to finally step up, claim who you really are, and do it now? So if you're ready, it'll be my pleasure to serve you. I will see you on the call. I would love to have that chat with you. And by the way, every man that I've worked with so far has always said the same thing. I wish I did this years ago. The thing that we clear in a couple of days, they are still paying dividends years and years later. It's still getting results years later. So don't let another year pass you by operating at 60 or 70% when 100% is available to you. So I'm Jared with Self Mastery for Men. I really appreciate you spending time with me, and I will see you soon. I'll see you on the call. The link's below.